Hello there, another video from the Crazy Angry Photographer. I would have thought that I'd already made enough, I made enough 50mm lens videos, but apparently not, because everybody keeps asking me, and I went back and looked, and I did kind of have them sparsed out over a few, 3 videos, and I didn't kind of really draw it into a tight, succinct point on necessarily each one of them, so I'll try to do that now and make things just extremely simple. I have all the current, well, not all of them, but all the current and past Nikkor lenses. The only thing I left out is the 1.8 G series and the 1.4 G series 50mm, because I'm not interested in having those lenses. Now the 1.4 G series Nikkor, while not of a very awesome caliber of build quality, is incredibly sharp. At its price point, I can't agree that it's actually worth it. So those 2 lenses are not included here. Hadn't used same, but they're not worth having. I mean, I could sell those and buy 3 of these, not well 3 of any of these. But anyway, let's get things down and dirty and make a recommendation. Let's start off with the AI and AIS manual focus Nikkor 50mm here. Here we have an f2, an f1.8, an f1.4, and the f1.2 AIS Nikkor. A lot of people see this and they lust after this beautiful piece of glass, and they just think it's awesome. And of course, the new price on it is what is it, $700 current price. Now, the depth of field on this is just slightly less than the sharpened edge of a razor. Not literally, and that's an exaggeration, but if you're thinking about paying an additional several hundred dollars, several hundred dollars for this lens, if you can justify it or you can write it off on your taxes as a photographer, go ahead and get it. It's a wonderful lens. Is it worth it for that price? Are you going to be? There's no way you're going to be taking handheld shots at f1.2. It's not possible. You might take 30 shots and get 1 out of the 30 in the focus range that you want, the depth of field that you want, as far as what it is you plan on focusing at, but you can forget it on that. Now, for infinitely less, we're talking about used about $400 here, used about $120, $130 in 50mm f1.4. Best value for the money on the manual focus Nikkors. There are a tremendous amount of these out there, and most of them are in awesome shape, both AI and AIS. Like I said, $120, $140 depending on the condition and who sells them. Best value for the money, yeah, it's kind of borderline to make that statement. One of Nikon's toughest lenses. This is top 2 toughest lenses ever made, and this is an f2. People think, well, I don't want that lens. I mean, this looks a lot better. I mean, it's got a lot larger front element. But this is more than enough for anybody. It can be had extremely cheap. Now, make sure you do not buy a non-AI lens for obvious reasons. This is 50mm Nikkor f2. More than enough for just about everything. Really, basically everything. 50, 60 bucks all day long. Actually, I've seen more than a few of these sold for 40 bucks. I've got 4 or 5 of them. Actually, the absolute best value. It's built like a tank. It's basically indestructible. Right between the 2, somewhat rare. Most of these are non-AI. And this is a AI f1.8 50mm manual focus lens. The only reason I would not recommend this is usually, now once in a while you can find one for the same price as an f2, but that's rather rare. The price on these is usually typically double the cost of an f2. But if you can find one cheap, go ahead and get it. Now, it's not as tough as the f2, but it's perfectly fine. Let's go on to an oddball series in this sequence of manual focus lenses. Those are the E series pancakes that everybody knows about. 2 different varieties, both the same optically. These used to be going for 40 bucks all day long. They're just wonderful. That's just like sticking a lens cap on your camera. I've talked about these endlessly. I don't think I really need to go into any detail about them, since I probably mentioned these lenses endlessly in other videos, and even though I may repeat myself often, I don't like to go over the same points over and over again. Now let's go into autofocus. Not a great value, is a great lens. This is an older D series 50mm f1.4. Still a current production lens. Not cheap at all. You're talking almost 4 times the price of an f1.4, identical optical quality, except in manual focus. I suggest you learn how to manual focus. It'll slow you down, help your composition, and thinking about taking your shot until you get more skilled. The cheapie, the best for the money, unquestionably, and Nikon has made a bazillion of these, is the 50mm D series or non-D series f1.8. This is an autofocus Nikkor lens. Typically find these for $80, $90, $100. The average price is about $90 to $100. You can find them as cheap as $70. More often than not, $95 or $100. So that's the rundown on the Nikkor 50mm. And like I said, if you want to lust after this glass setup made in the prior video, talking about people being a glass hole, this is still a current production lens. It's actually, all of these are actually, but these aren't produced anymore, but this one still is. Still made in Japan, still made exactly like this. Which shocks people. They think, well, that lens isn't made anymore. So, well, yes it is, actually. But very expensive. And now I have an AI version of this. There's 7 aperture blades. This is an AIS version, which is current production. And it has 9 aperture blades, so it gives you better bokeh. As what's-his-face would say. But not worth it. I mean, the depth of field at f1.2, it's impossible to shoot handheld. You can justify it for your business, or you absolutely, totally have to have it, and you can rationalize it in some way and go ahead and get it, but otherwise, save yourself $400 for Christ's sakes and get a Nikkor f1.4, $120, $130, sometimes cheap as $90, typically about $120. So I hope that helped you out, and I hope I kind of actually put things in a more succinct format there, and hopefully that's the last 50mm lens sequence of videos that I will be making. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, drop me a buck or two. Tell me to go jump off a cliff. Whatever makes you happy. Thanks for watching.